Hey traders, Parker here with another video. Today I'm just recapping a trade I took. I took it because in the pre-market it showed it had a lot of volume, so that volume for us always equals interest. So I got in over here, especially seeing this lower wick right here, this long lower wick on this candle right here at this resistance or support, where the support after it broke back above this resistance level, and it confirmed it because it's on daily, because it's open market and it's the day open. So the price dropped all the way down, and then it came back up, and I had already drew out these lines, and I think I was doing it on a 3 minute to be exact. So I just moved that to a 3 minute. And you can see how I drew out my lines for these 2 points right here and kept breaking above. But I got in on that long low wick on that 5 minute candle. I'm just going to leave it on 5 minute. But for the most part, when I seen this right here, I went ahead and got in. Rolled out this little disturbance right here and then just rolled it up here. I think I sold 75% of my position here. So you can say I got in somewhere around here at 12 something. And sold at 14.20. I think this was 14.17. So sold pretty much right there, 75% of it, and let the rest of it just ride out. But you can see all the lines and everything I drew, and I go to a daily chart as well, because you can see the Fibonacci levels as well, and you can see how I drew out the supply and supply zones right here. I didn't draw out one for this down here because I was only concerned with this top part. But let's go back to that 5 minute chart and let me remove all my let's clear the drawing set out and let's get my studies on. And I made a couple of updates as well. I'm gonna get rid of the daily stuff, like the day previous day high. These white dots right here are the open, but I'm trying to make it more cleaner. So I'm gonna get rid of, and that orange line right there is just VWAP. And so I am going to just leave that stuff on there. So there's that long lower wick right here, and you can see this is your highest point of pre-market buying right here, and you can see this is your highest point of pre-market selling. I made changes to the buy sell pressure average moving oscillator and the irregular bodies indicator as well. If you look at it, it looks a lot more smoother. I did the same thing with the price as well. I left the labels the same, but if you look at it, it looks a lot more smoother. I enter into the Heikingashi code into the buy sell pressure code, and this is what it came out to be, and it looks a lot better than it did before, especially if I switch it back to the buy sell pressure trend type. You can see you get all those breaks and stuff in the candle, and it's all according to the buy sell pressure indicator or formula. But when you switch it to the buy sell pressure Heikingashi, you get something a little bit better, and you're really able to see the trend a lot better as well. And you can see this is just bursting up. And one of the reasons I stayed in this trade, or I was stayed in the trade, because of the VWAP. You look right here, that orange line is VWAP, and plus, if we zoom in a little bit more, you can see how the volume is overlapping. So you can see right now, this candle right here produced our highest buying volume. The candle next to it produced our highest selling candle. Remember, before I painted added paint the candles or color the price, this was a big red candle. You can see how everything overlapped, and all you had to do is just wait for it to get back above. It stayed within this buying candle low right here. Get back above this overlapping pre-market. You can see that line right there, and it burst up above that on this candle. It had tested it here, This gray box or gray cloud that I put over these two candles just represents the squeeze when volume is decreasing and the ranges of the candles are decreasing as well. So you can see right there, and this is a real good indicator right here. The price is trying to burst above that level, And you can see the triangles show the irregular bodies, showing that small bodies, high volume, small bodies, high volume. And the green arrows show volatility to the buy side. And you can see it burst up above that, had to contend with these two areas right here overlapping, and it finally broke above and continued on from there. And you can see how I transferred the coloring of my oscillator to the coloring of my average. Right now, this average is the average of 12. If you're unfamiliar why I use 12, it's because 12 5-minute bars equals an hour. And you can see how the Heikin-Ashi really colored everything really nice for us. So you can see the trend, especially when it came to these candles right here, because you can see this low volume. All these are just average volume candles. Low, or I call it just low volume candle. So it's not really doing anything. It's holding this 12 period average. And you can see with these dashed lines, that's $14.50, and the longer dashes are $15. So it just basically range traded throughout this whole entire time. And you can see how these gray clouds just showed these squeeze areas, but nothing came out of them. Nothing came out of them until this one right here. You had a big buy up. You had actually two big buys ups, and then you had this volatility to the downside, but it couldn't really do anything. It just went back into this whole squeeze mode, and you can see down here, the oscillator pretty much just stayed flat. It wasn't a whole lot of buying or selling going on until that point, and immediately buyers came back in and bought it up. And the other feature I added on here was this pivot indicator. You can see this little pink line right here, and this anchored VWAP is connected to this pivot. Anytime it makes a pivot, you'll get this pink line for the anchor VWAP high, and it should, the cyan line is the anchor VWAP pivot low, and there's a gray line in there somewhere. I know I should, this white line right here is the midpoint of that anchor VWAP that I put in there, and it's here as well. But that's just something to help me stay in these trades and see these bounces. And you can look right here, it made this pivot point right here, and it created this anchor VWAP point from that point. And you can see price tried to push below it, and it couldn't go below it, and it couldn't go above it either after it made that pivot. And you had to wait. If you wanted to stay in this, you just wait for a break above that, or you could got in on this candle near the average and just rode it like that. Because if you remember my last video, when you have these two together, you get a volatility to the downside, and then you immediately get a volatility to the upside. It means balance in my point of view. And it's just balance, and really when you get the you got this second candle to the volatility candle to the upside, so it really just pushed it there. It squeezed a little bit, and then you got this second push up, and that's pretty much how my system works. This right here just tracks the volume of whether it's a buy sell pressure or the Heikin-Ashi buy sell pressure. And it gives you a good indication of the momentum that's going on in the stock, or in the stock. And that's one of the reasons why I put it in this right here. Put in my average as well, because I'm not always looking down trying to see this. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I took the trade down here because I saw this long low wick, this irregular body. Buyers was really buying it up during the pre-market, and I know I bought in somewhere around here because I wanted to confirm it above this average. But I saw this, and usually when I see something like this, I sometimes jump the gun and just put in a order early, hoping that the stock would immediately jump down and get me in and then jump back up. And that's basically what happened. And we can go look at it from 1 minute perspective as well. And remember, on the 1 minute, you're going to get a lot more noise. But I was really focusing more so on this 3 minute chart more than anything. But the 5-minute really gave me that long low wick, and it pushed up. And even on the 3-minute chart, you can see these two volatility candles to the downside couldn't break this pre-market buying pressure area. Couldn't break below. I mean, you got these lower wicks, but you couldn't close below it. And you can see how buying just came in and bought it up. So, and that's pretty much it. I wish you all the best. God bless, and stay safe out there.